Welcome back to our beekeeping series. Today, we're diving into the intricate world of bees to explore how to introduce a new queen to a queenless hive. It's a critical task that requires precision and care, but don't worry, we've got you covered with step-by-step guidance. The main advantage of this technique is that the queen bee is released only when worker bees are ready to accept it, providing feedback when worker bees did not reach the consensus to accept the new queen bee. Stay tuned as we unveil the secrets to a seamless transition, ensuring the prosperity of your buzzing community. Remember, your support helps us create more content, so hit that like button, share, and subscribe for more beekeeping insights. Ensuring a beehive is queenless is a critical step before introducing a new queen. Virgin queens can indeed be elusive and are often found near honey frames. It's essential to inspect the hive thoroughly for queen cells, which are larger than other cells and have a peanut-like shape. If any are found, they should be carefully destroyed to prevent rival queens from emerging. Additionally, the presence of laying workers indicates the beehive was queenless hive for a significant period, over 21 days. These workers can develop the ability to lay eggs, although they are unfertilized and prevent the new queen bee to be accepted. To remedy this, beekeepers often shake all the bees away from the hive at a considerable distance to eliminate the laying workers and persuade the remaining workers to accept the new queen. The technique highlighted in this tutorial showcases a fascinating aspect of bee behavior, emphasizing the collective decision-making process within a hive. The main advantage of this technique is that the queen bee is released only and only when all worker bees agree to accept the new queen. In case beekeeper overlooked any of the factors mentioned earlier, the new queen will be kept safe and cared for in the cage. Releasing attendant bees from a transport cage is a delicate process that requires careful handling to ensure the safety of the queen bee and the success of its introduction to a new hive. It's important not to remove the duct tape covering the sugar candy, as this serves as a food source for the queen. Releasing the attendants indoors with closed windows minimizes the risk of escape and makes it easier to recover the queen should she emerge unexpectedly. If the queen does exit the cage, she will likely be attracted to light and can be safely recaptured near a window. For a smooth release, if possible, use a second, empty queen cage to transfer the attendants without losing the queen. First step involves releasing the attendant worker bees that accompany the queen during shipping. The presence of these attendants can sometimes delay or even prevent the new queen from being accepted. After the attendants are released, the cage opening is covered with a piece of wax foundation. When the beehive is ready to accept the new queen bee, worker bees will remove the wax barrier to release the queen bee. To expose the sugar and let worker bees to go through sugar candy to release the queen bee, it's a huge gamble. For honeybees, sugar is food and their instinct is to harvest as much as possible, and there are no guarantees that the beehive is ready to accept the new queen bee. This particular type of transport cage is prone to accidentally open when the cage lid is opened. As you can see, the lid also secures the cage to accidentally open. To avoid an accidental opening of the transport cage has to be secured with a bag tie, plastic tie, or a rubber band before the attendants are released from the cage. Securing the cage with a bag tie is a prudent measure to ensure the safety of the queen bee during attendance release. The tie is positioned between the cage lid and cage sugar candy holder in a way to allow to open the cage lid. It's important to ensure that the tie is fastened securely, but also allows to open cage lid for easy removal of the attendants. The process of separating a queen bee from her attendants indeed requires meticulous care. Employing a secondary transport cage is a wise practice, as it ensures a non-contact method of separation, significantly reducing the risk of harm to the queen. Carefully open the cage lid, watching queen bee position at all times. Preferably the queen bee is on the other side of the cage. It might be difficult to notice the queen bee on the screen. Queen bee is behind the sugar candy. Carefully open the cage and position the secondary cage to cover the opening and allow attendants or queen bee to move in the secondary cage to separate the attendants from the queen bee. Hold the cages gently and don't press too hard against each other. Also be very patient. Allow attendants to move from one cage to another. This step it may take a few minutes. The queen bee is about to move in the secondary cage. Once it gets in the secondary cage, we can safely release the other attendants. After releasing the attendants out of the transport cage, the queen bee is transferred back in the original cage. I had to redo this small segment to demonstrate how the transport cage is sealed with a wax foundation. This time, I'm using a different transport cage, secured with a plastic tie. As before, the transport cage contains only a queen bee. Cover the cage opening with a piece of wax foundation. Press firmly along the edges to ensure the wax adheres to the cage. Also make sure the opening edges are dry, because wax does not stick to water. Remove any excess wax by pulling it down around the cage. This ensures that some wax foundation sticks to the cage, increasing the surface area for better adhesion. This helps to ensure that the wax seal is firmly attached to the cage. Next, use a wet toothpick to poke a few holes through the wax seal. Press and twist the toothpick gently over the opening of the cage. Some beekeepers may say these holes guide the worker bees to release the queen, but more importantly, they provide valuable feedback if the worker bees are not ready to accept the queen. In part 2 of this video, I will show how the worker bees sealed these holes because I missed a virgin queen bee. The new queen bee is ready to be placed in a queenless beehive. Before I set up the queen cage in a queenless mating nucleus, I will cover the sugar with tape to prevent worker bees from removing it. When introducing a new queen bee to a hive, it's crucial to position the queen cage correctly. Placing the cage between the central frames in either the second or top brood box. Personally, I prefer the second brood box for easier inspection after 24 hours. It's important to ensure that the lid of the cage is positioned in such a way that it doesn't obstruct the opening, allowing the queen to exit freely into her new colony. If you're replacing an old queen, it's best to introduce the new queen immediately after the old one has been removed to prevent the worker bees from start queen cells, which might delay new queen bee to be accepted. Worker bees can sense the absence of their queen in just a few hours, and delaying the introduction of a new queen for 24 to 48 hours may prompt them to start building queen cells as they attempt to replace her themselves. As mentioned earlier, the queen will be placed in a small mating nucleus. Begin by gently pulling the frames apart to create space for the queen cage. Position the queen cage between the frames, then gently push the frames together to secure the cage. Take note that the cage's sugar holder is covered with tape to prevent worker bees from removing it and entering the cage. Observe how the cage lid is positioned between the cage and the adjacent frame, ensuring it does not obstruct the cage opening. Worker bees sense the new queen bee immediately. After approximately 24 hours, I'll check to see if the new queen bee has been released. Notice that the wax seal has been completely removed by worker bees. This indicates that the queen bee has been accepted and has already taken control of this small beehive. After removing the cage, I will verify the queen presence in the beehive. I apologize for the poor framing in this segment. As you'll see in a moment, the queen bee was located on the second frame of the mating nucleus. I apologize for the oversight. The frame wasn't visible on camera, which is why you'll see the queen bee as I place the frame back into the mating nucleus. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more beekeeping content. Feel free to ask any questions and leave your comments. Your feedback is incredibly valuable and helps us create new content.